We don't give the franchisee any income from the money that is being made between two members.
Okay.
We tried to do that where the franchisee gets 10% of the deals, but it didn't sit well, which I agree. So we basically allow this person to give the business to this person, and let's say it's a $20,000 project and he nets 3 from it. So he just made 3,000. Now he feels grateful to this guy and he wants to do something for him, obviously. Now you also can share the income with your referral source. We have a tool, it's an app, that allows me to say I give 10% of everything I make to anyone who gives me a referral, and it's split automatically.
Welcome to the Franchise Hot Seat Podcast, where we talk about all things franchising. Now, here's your host, Dr. John P. Hayes.
Today I'm with Roy Assad, the franchisor of Network Lead Exchange, known as NLX. It's a small company, an emerging company. Roy became the #1 franchisee in that company and then decided to buy the company. So we're going to find out what's that all about. How does that work? How did he come to franchising to begin with? Roy, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm excited about the interview.
Yeah. So Roy, you've got a huge successful background in insurance sales. I think you're #1 every year in your experiences, which is great. And bringing sales skills to franchising is great. It's necessary. But where along the line, and you've done other things as well. You've been a restaurateur and many things that I don't even know about. And somehow you came to franchising. How did that happen? Why did that grab your interest?
Well, I have heard and learned about franchising over the years, obviously. My brother actually is a franchise owner for Sinorama in New Jersey for like 20, 15 years. He bought an existing franchise and improved it, if you will. Yeah. But I also have worked with an organization called Latip International, which does somewhat similar networking groups to NLX. And I was their regional director opening chapters in New York and then in Florida. So I got the whole thing and I was a member of the group and so on. And I always saw the benefit of being part of a group, not being the owner yet of the whole franchise. But then when I successfully built my own group here for NLX, we started in March and we're here now a year and we have about 38 members, adding 4 more this week. So we'll be in the 40s. And I decided that this is something that might be worth it. So at the time, Ray Titus and Austin said, you know what, let's talk to this guy. He must know something. So they approached me and they made an offer that I thought I couldn't refuse. And it took me one day to say yes. And here I am.
Yeah. So what is it about franchising that draws someone like you? You're not in your 20s or 30s just getting started in business. You've got some business acumen. But why would you invest your money and turn your time over to building a franchise network or even becoming a franchisee? What are the specific attractions to franchising for a senior business operator like you?
A great franchise, if it's a good franchise, is a turnkey business, basically. If you have the support from the franchisor and you have a successful opportunity or idea, then you can actually become a success just by owning 1, 2, or 3 franchises. And then the income is quite substantial when you own 3 or 4 because you've got 20 to 30 members in each, and the income coming not only from the revenue, but also from the referrals that you're getting. So I just felt it was great, but I also love training people. So for me, the franchise owners are like clients that I'm coaching them to be better at what they do so that they could become successful in this franchise, because many of them don't really know how to take it from here to there.
But a big area of opportunity in franchising is selling. And there are a lot of people who get into franchising and they can't sell. Right. And maybe they were told by someone who was selling them the franchise that, oh, don't worry about that. You don't have to sell. But there are few businesses, even restaurants, where you're not selling somebody something. And in franchising, particularly when you're a franchisor, first of all, you've got to sell the concept to a franchisee and help that franchisee be able to sell the product or the service. So you were already there. You'd already accomplished sales expertise. And how valuable was that? How important is that? How do you advise other people about, if they don't like sales, is there any sense of them particularly being involved in NLX?
Well, first of all, to buy a franchise, I have the responsibility of getting them to see the opportunity, the value of why it makes sense. I wholeheartedly believe, whether it's BNI, NLX, LaTip, it's one of the great opportunities as far as income generation and building relationships and getting referrals and making money. So it's got a great, great, great opportunity. It is amazing. So I believe that wholeheartedly. So that's number one. Number two, they say when something is good, you don't have to sell it. And there's a little bit of truth to that. When you work, for example, if you're a restaurant owner, you got to sell your restaurant until you get people in the door, and then they hopefully will feel like the experience was worth it, whether they can come back and tell their friends. So in a way, if you're providing a great product and a great support system and creating an opportunity for someone, there are many, many people who are looking for ways to do something like this where they're not inventing the business. It's already invented for them.
And do you look specifically for people who have sales experience?
No, I look for people who have a good network. Meaning they have a lot of contacts, they have influence in their community, they know people who would be a great member for their franchise, and they just have to share and invite, because at the end of the day, the meeting sells itself. I don't believe we sell. We sell the meeting, and the meeting sells itself. When I walk into a group and it has 20 people who are good people, and I'm a guest, I'm thinking to myself, I want to be part of this thing. Now, it's not for everyone, obviously. And if I wasn't greeted well and the group didn't run well, then that kind of goes by the wayside. But if it's run well and the people were friendly and kind and there's business being exchanged, it almost like I can't not join. I've got to join.
So let's go back and talk about what is network lead exchange and the BNIs and LaTips and others that are out there. What is this program? You're talking about it as it's a franchisee. It's an opportunity to generate income for yourself as a business owner. And yet most of the time it's not a full-time business opportunity. What does it do? What is NLX?
Well, Network Lead Exchange is basically an exclusive business networking group where we put together a group of people, 6, 7 attorneys, because they specialize in something different, a couple of real estate brokers, one commercial, one residential, a mortgage broker, a CPA, an insurance agent for car and home, an insurance agent for life. And it goes on and on. We have builders and interior designers, and they all get together once a week for us in person to refer each other, either the things they need or what their friends and colleagues need. So I could be in the meeting and my friend is buying a house and he needs a mortgage, and there's a mortgage broker there. I say, hey, John, I think it would be great for you to call, Tom, because he needs a mortgage, and I think it's a warm lead, basically. So the income comes from that to the members. So the members make, for example, as a life insurance agent, I'm a member. When somebody buys a life insurance policy from me, I'm making money. But as a franchisor, I'm also making money from the fees that these members are paying. So it's, as a franchisor, it's a sweet deal as a franchise owner.
So let's say that I want to become a franchisee of NLX, and you're the franchisor. And so I meet with you, we talk about the opportunity, and I decide I'm going to become an NLX owner. Do I get first of all, how much am I going to invest?
It's at the moment, it's very reasonable. It's $9,500 to buy a franchise. I believe we will raise that to about $12,500 in the next few months because it's way too low. And but the investment is not big. The investment is the time it takes you to build your group. And as you're building that group, you're getting your investment back because every member who signs up at the moment is paying $750. So if you get 10 members, you've got $6,000. And if you get 20 members, you got 12,000. That's just from the memberships. And then all the referrals you're getting it's called double dipping, basically.
Okay. So do I have a territory as a franchisee?
You can buy a territory. You can buy it's very expensive to buy a state or area. So there's area development sale, and there's a franchise sale. So it depends on the person and see how ambitious they are. And of course, they have to stick to a plan. They can't just buy the territory and build a group and then hang their hat on it. So they have a mission to build 3 to 4 to 10 groups in that territory.
So essentially my $9,500 fee, which is the franchise fee, that I pay that to you. And then if I live in West Palm Beach, is West Palm Beach my territory, or how does that work? Do I get certain zip codes or?
Yeah, what we do is we carve out a zip code and we give that to you so you can build one group for that 9,500.
And that zip code is going to be large enough that I can get what's the size of a group? A money-making group is what size?
In West Palm, we can probably put 5 groups, for example. There's so many people here in West Palm Beach. It's a growing community. A lot of small business owners, and that's usually what this attracts. But it also attracts professionals like attorneys and CPAs and so on. But to buy a territory, you can spend $95,000 for something like that.
Okay. But if I start out with one, and I understand that it's an exclusive group. So if I have a mortgage broker, I only can have one mortgage broker.
Correct.
And then what's that mortgage broker going to pay me as the franchisee?
$750. He pays $750 to join. The franchisee makes $600, and the franchisor, we make $150.
Okay, so he pays $750 for
1 year.
1 year's time. And then hopefully he renews.
Yeah.
And I can have how many of these folks? What's ideal? And
ideal is 50. I mean, when you get to 50, you are at a great spot. But 25 is where you want to be. If you get to 25 and let it hum, it's people will be like very much interested in joining. It's just that there's no category open for them. So, for example, if you already have the mortgage broker spot taken, there'll be another mortgage broker who would love to get in, but they can't. So
is that when you start another group?
Correct. You build a waiting list.
Are there people who want to do this full time? All they want to do is build NLX chapters.
Yes.
I mean, you meet at breakfast, or you could meet at lunch, I guess. Do you meet in the evening?
No, we prefer no evening meetings. We love the breakfast meeting because people then go to work. Lunch is difficult, but some groups meet at lunch. The problem with lunch is you get to the office and you have so much going on, and they basically say, I'm not going to go. You want people to show up.
Yeah. First thing in the morning, they'll be there.
Right.
So the $750, your cut of that as the franchisor is $150.
Minus fees that we pay. So I get $120 basically.
Okay. And then the franchisee keeps $600
Correct.
of that member's fee. And then, so if you have 20, you've got $12,000, I think, that you...
Annually.
Yeah. Okay. And then, I need to make $100,000 a year. How do I do that?
You'll build 4 groups, and you'll get the referral that you're getting. Those, because if you're an insurance agent or if you're a sign company, you're making a lot of business from those groups as the sign manufacturer.
And okay, so let's say now I'm not doing it full time. I've got I own a Signorama, for example, and I also run the group. So I'm a franchisee of Signorama, but I'm also a franchisee of NLX. And I only have so much time. Maybe I can afford time to do only one group in that case. So I want to understand how, when a member comes to the morning meeting and says to me, my buddy across the street is opening a whatever kind of a business, he needs signage for his business. Mm-hmm. Here's his name and here's his number. Now what happens?
Well, first of all, I recommend that the owner of the franchise does not run the group.
Okay.
So we want them to really walk away from it and let it run itself. So
do I attend as a franchisee? Do I attend the meeting?
Yeah, because you want the referrals.
But I don't run the group.
Correct. The reason for that is you want to be able to take less responsibility and put more responsibility on the group. And when you give people responsibilities, they show up. That's another thing. But what happens is if he says my friend is opening an interior design firm and he needs signage outside on the windows and whatever, that's a great lead for me as a sign company. I could make $15,000 from that, or $10,000. That is on top of the $600 that I make from every member who joins.
And how would I make that? How as the owner would I make money from that lead that transferred? Well, I mean, obviously, if I'm the Signorama franchisee and I'm selling signs,
yeah,
I have profit from selling those signs.
Correct.
But let's say the NLX franchisee doesn't own another business, isn't getting leads that he or she can turn into sales. They're doing NLX full time, and maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe people don't do that.
It could be a full-time opportunity, because if you're going to build 5 to 10 groups,
okay.
I mean, listen, you can build 10 groups if you pay enough time and detail and build them well. And if each group is making you 15 grand, that's 150,000.
Yeah.
You don't have to get one referral.
And how does that happen with a member gives another member a lead? Is there a process for that? And does the franchisee benefit and the franchisor benefit?
We don't give the franchisee any income from the money that is being made between two members.
Okay.
We tried to do that where the franchisee gets 10% of the deals, but it didn't sit well, which I agree. So we basically allow this person to give the business to this person, and let's say it's a $20,000 project and he nets 3 from it. So he just made $3,000. Now he feels grateful to this guy and he wants to do something for him, obviously. Now you also can share the income with your referral source. We have a tool, it's an app, that allows me to say I give 10% of everything I make to anyone who gives me a referral, and it's split automatically.
Okay.
So we have that system.
So as a member who gives a referral, I may be giving it to someone who has already agreed to give me 10% if they make a deal.
Correct.
Okay. And how important does that become to the franchisees? How sizable is that? And it's not the franchisee. The franchisee doesn't get any of that 10%.
No, it's really for the referrals.
So how does the franchisee make ongoing money if NLX is their only business?
Only every time someone joins or renews, and how many groups they have.
Okay, I see. And then members are free to go directly to another member and say, I want to give you this lead. Here's what's happening. I know this person who needs to get a call from you. So that's between members.
Correct.
So you came along about a year ago and discovered NLX, which at the time was owned by United Franchise Group.
Correct.
And you quickly became the #1 franchisee. Now, granted, there weren't many franchisees at the time. It was an emerging concept. But it wasn't like you were sitting at your office and didn't have other things to do. You had plenty going on. But what did you do to become the leading franchisee so quickly?
So I invited 18 people to the first meeting and saying, I have a business idea I would love to share with you. I want to provide breakfast. They all came in. 12 people signed up that day. That's how it started. But these are people I knew. These are people that trust me. These are the people who saw the opportunity, because most of us jump into conclusion before we jump into an opportunity because we're so jaded. But I explained it in such a way in saying, this is the best way to get referrals without having to work for it. You just have to be great at what you do.
And so you got 12 people right away to pay
Yeah.
$750.
Correct.
And are those 12 people a year later, are they now renewing? Or are they still members of your group?
Renewals this month.
Yeah.
I would say we have about 3 that left. One got married and left. One changed jobs. You know, there's always attrition, but you fill their category always. Yeah. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah. And then it's still, if you don't have 18 people who you know and trust you, you're going to have problems probably building an NLX chapter.
Well, you also have to bring people who know people. You can't just be the rainmaker only. You cannot be the only rainmaker. You are the inspiration. You're bringing members and you're letting them know that if you want to do well, bring a guest with you tomorrow. Bring a guest with you next week. And if they know people, they go to the chamber meetings and they meet somebody who's, let's say, a windows and door company salesperson. They invite him to the meeting. The guy shows up. He likes the meeting. He joins. So you want your members to also be the rainmakers, not just you.
What percentage of your members are generated by existing members?
I would say 40%.
Okay. So that core group who you invited in became very important to the growth of your business. Will you sell to someone, or this is not advisable, I guess, to become a franchisee if you're not in a business that touches a lot of other businesses?
Yeah. Meaning you believe you're asking.
Yeah, if you don't have a network of people and you don't, you're a surgeon. Would a surgeon be you got any surgeons who are members of your group?
We have dentists, we have holistic doctors, we have massage therapists, chiropractors. I mean, there are some physicians. A surgeon most likely is not going to be someone who will join.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get at what it takes to do what you did, to replicate what you did. So not only should I be in a business, but I need to have a network of people. Maybe I'm already a member of the Chamber of Commerce.
Which is great.
And, so the more people I know, the larger my network of business people in my area as well. I'm not talking statewide, but in my area, the better, because these are the people who I'm going to invite to a meeting.
Listen, you're doing someone a favor when you bring them to the meeting. Number one, even if they don't join, they just met 29 people, for example. I mean, what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
They got their card out. They got everybody's card. They heard everyone's pitch. And they could do business with them even if they haven't joined. So you're doing someone a favor. They're not doing you a favor. So when you go to a chamber meeting like the Palm Beach Chamber, which is you've spoken there and there's 500 people, I mean, it's likely that you'll meet 3 to 4 people who could be great potential members to your group.
Yeah.
So you're going there with the mindset of introducing people to NLX and giving them an opportunity to grow their business. It's amazing. It's a win-win.
So beyond that initial $9,500 fee, how much more do I need to have to be a franchisee and to get successful at this?
When UFG had it, they had a lot of complicated things. They charged a marketing fee, they charged the technology fee, they charged fines for not meeting this goal and that goal. We simplified it. We made it to where you just need to have a laptop or a desktop, and if you attend the annual meeting, whether it's in person or via Zoom for the franchise owners, we get you to commit to certain things. So it's time, not a lot of money.
Okay. Is there a marketing fund that most franchisors will have a marketing fund so that they can advertise the business on a statewide basis or regional basis?
Yeah, right now I'm funding that. I am not asking the franchise owners to fund it. And I believe I can manage it. We're going to do ads on Instagram and Facebook for them in their regions so that we can bring members to them. And yeah, so eventually we'll do advertising. It's just that it's so small right now. It's almost giving birth.
Yeah, that can be difficult for people. And again, if people are not tuned in to the selling side or the networking side of business, it's difficult for them to grow a chapter.
Yeah, and they struggle. And then where I come in is I help them see what they don't see. Because somebody has to help that guy or that woman who just bought the franchise, thinking that
Yeah.
it's going to be easy. It's not easy, but it's very doable. So we give them, I would say, tools and steps and inspiration to go out and bring new guests to the meeting, help your members bring guests, and the group will grow.
So if someone comes to you and they say, Roy, I'm interested in becoming an NLX franchisee, what do you want to know about them before you're going to agree to sell them a franchise?
Number one, I want to see how networked they are. I mean, they don't have to become like myself. I know 25,000 people, believe it or not, in my CRM. I am like extremely networked. If they have 500 to 1,000 people they've known their lifetime, they're 55 and they've met so many people along the way. That's number one. They must know people. Number two, they must be willing to put in the hard work. They've got to be able to do that. And they must have the time, meaning they can't just say, oh, I'll take it, and they have no time.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to UFG. They sold so many of them to people who did not. And they owned it, but they never brought it to life. Mm-hmm. And that became a bad situation for them.
When you say they've got to be willing to do the hard work, what's the hard work?
The structure, the leadership, the making sure the meeting space is ready, because but you see, we appoint 10 responsibilities in the group. There's a lead master, there's a vice president, there's a program director. I don't do everything. I should not be spending more than 10, 15 minutes a week on the meeting, because otherwise it would become too burdensome. So yeah, the hard work is about being, what's the word? I would say being the leader and the example. If you're not showing up and inviting and bringing people, nobody is going to do it. You got to show them you can do it so they can do it.
And then where do you have these meetings? Or is it the same restaurant every week, or how do you do that?
I prefer we don't do restaurants, because most of the time it's not carved out in private. We meet at the Red Cross Center. They have a conference room they let us use. Some people meet at co-working spaces like Venture X, and they have a conference room, but you outgrow those. Hotels, sometimes we give the hotel salespeople a membership for free, and they give us the room. So we have a lot of ideas on how to create the space that's conducive to run a private meeting and not public, where everybody's listening from the outside to what's going on.
And then who pays for the breakfast?
I happen to pay for my own breakfast for my group. I just do it. It's about $200 and some, $275. It's worth it to me. I don't want my members to be burdened by breakfast. And many of them, they don't want to have breakfast, and I don't want them to pay. Generally speaking, you have a treasurer who bills the members for their breakfast. That could work as well. But yeah, I don't do it.
Okay. And then what do you see in the future, let's say a year from now? How many franchises are you projecting? Where are they going to be? And how's it all going to work?
I'm hoping to have 10 by the end of the year. We already have 5. We would probably be at 30 at the end of next year, and then we would grow rapidly after that. Florida is very ripe to do this. I'm located here. Texas, as you know, is a great state to do that. We have people in Ohio, and we have people in Massachusetts right now, and we have Canada. So we have a lot of areas that we're going to develop.
You have New Jersey as well, I believe.
Yeah,
I saw
New
that.
Jersey, yeah.
Yeah. And so what about the prospect who says, well, Roy, West Palm Beach is not going to be enough for me. I've got to have a big territory. I need to have from up north, Stewart. I want down past Fort Lauderdale. Huge territory. What are you going to do about that? How do you handle that? Because a lot of people think that the more territory I have as a franchisee, the wealthier I'm going to become. And now we know through the history of franchising, it rarely works that way for people.
Yeah, that's aggressive. I would say a territory like 2 counties in New Jersey that are nice size is a good territory. And they have to build 3 and then 5 and then 8, right? So they have the responsibility to do that. They're almost like taking my position in promoting NLX in their territory. Mm-hmm. I would say if somebody comes to me and says, I want to buy this big territory, I would doubt that they can do anything with it. And then I would probably talk them out of it.
Yeah.
Because they're going to pay $150,000, which doesn't make sense if they're not going to build it.
Yeah. And then where did the best leads come from for buying an NLX franchise?
Currently, it's from people I know. Currently, I'm using my contacts.
Okay.
So if I know a realtor who's very out there and he's aggressive, or they really want to build their business, I would approach them to consider buying a franchise. And they usually have a lot of interest. First of all, they guarantee their spot. Nobody can get in and be the realtor. They would be the realtor. And they can make double dipping, as I talked, the referral commissions and then the fees from people joining the group.
Mm-hmm. What do you think are the number 1 to 3 challenges that the franchisees in NLX face that is non-productive for them? Rather than building 20 or 40, they're struggling at 3 or 4.
Yeah, that's where they get disheartened. If the group is not alive and dynamic and vibrant, the guest will not join. So what's very frustrating is if you build a group of 10, only 5 show up, and you have 2 guests, and these 2 guests are saying, I don't know if I want to become part of this thing. It doesn't look like it's got potential. So they're responsible to always look good and convince the members to be there so that they can be impressive. And a guest can say, I want to be part of this. So that's a big challenge because group owners, they go to work and they forget about the group. They're not inviting all week. I invite every day for 5 minutes to 10 minutes. Every day I'm inviting someone.
So is that the number 1 challenge that you see, that they don't know how to handle the inviting process, getting people to the meetings?
Now we train them.
Yeah.
Because they were not being trained before. I'm a salesperson and I know how to train salespeople. That's how I started my coaching career. Because at the end of the day, if you're not selling, nothing's happening.
Yeah. But let's say you have 50 franchisees at some point. You can't train and coach every one of them. You certainly can't do it. Yeah. How do you do that?
I would do it as a group and I would do videos. Yeah. A library. We already started doing that. And then one-on-one, sometimes you go to the territory and you sit down, have dinner with them and talk about their challenges and give them solutions, right?
Yeah.
And if you know people in that territory, you bring them in as a guest with you. You create a dynamic. And then I actually sometimes go to the group and talk to the members and wake them up because they're sleeping. Mm-hmm. They're just sleeping at the group.
Yeah. What are the objections to franchising that you hear? What do people say? I don't want to do that. It's a franchise. That's not a good thing to get into for whatever reason.
I have never encountered someone who said to me, I don't like the concept of a franchise. I mean, listen, the history shows that some good franchise owners making hundreds of thousands, right? In the food industry, in the service industry. Yeah. If it's run well and if it's priced right and you know what you're doing, you can make a decent income and have that recurring income. It's awesome.
Yeah. The fellow you have a franchisee in Ohio who I think maybe has 4 chapters.
Yeah, 3.
Okay. So how does that happen? And I believe he's a business broker. So
yeah, he's very motivated. And I have not coached him. He's just a go-getter, excited about the groups, and he's running running it by himself. Mm-hmm. And he's a very intelligent man.
Yeah.
He's good. I had him actually speak to our franchise owners group when we meet to talk about how he accomplished what he's doing so that they learned from him.
Good. And who do you see as your competition in this market? There are several players in the networking arena, exclusive group arena. Are you chasing McDonald's, or do you not notice the competition? The market is huge and you have opportunity.
The competition is there, and we're not much different. A lot of people say, what separates you from BNI? I don't think, you can call it Joe Schmo and it still works. The idea is if you put great professionals in a room, I don't care what the name is, it's going to work. The thing is, do you believe that? Do you understand that it's not about the name, it's about the people? What makes a group is the people that are in it. If you drag people in, they're going to drag you around. You want professionals who come together for the purpose of referring one another, and they're excited about being there. And if you can do that, I don't care what the group name is. And there are a lot of people who don't belong to a BNI. And some of them belong to a BNI, they're not happy. And they're looking for something new or different.
Mm-hmm. And why would that be, that someone would not be happy with a group? And
they may feel the group is wrong for them. They don't have the right people in the group. There's no chemistry. Who knows? Their occupation is not very popular for the group. They don't get leads for 6 months, and they get really disheartened, and they want to move. Because you're investing not only the $750, well, with BNI it's more. You're investing a lot of time, and that's where the money is.
Yeah.
So it better work.
Do you train how to create chemistry for a group? Is there a trick to that?
Yeah, we encourage the members every week to go have coffee with one new member. So meaning if I have a group of 20, I have 20 weeks of coffee. You got to get to know these people. You got to get to understand where they come from. What's their pain point? Mm-hmm. Who do they know? How can I help them?
All right, Roy, a lot of great information for people who are interested in franchising, and particularly if they're interested in a networking group. And National Lead Exchange is the emerging company today that you saw the opportunity as a franchisee to take this on and to create it from a franchisor point of view. You've thrown yourself into it. You're off to a great start, and I wish you well with that.
Thank you very much.
I also want to thank you for supporting the Titus Center for Franchising, supporting franchise education. That's very important to us, of course, and it's important to students who come to the university and discover franchising. Most people out there, and when you think about this, the opportunities become even more amazing. Most people don't know anything about franchising.
Correct.
And so we have the pleasure of being able to teach young people about opportunities that would exist for them. The Gen Z population, they don't want to be employees. They want to own businesses. But of course, coming out of college, they don't have a $300,000 to invest.
Right.
And they don't have the experience to invest in a franchise. But an NLX might be a manageable opportunity for young people as well.
Yes. Agreed.
All right, Roy. Well, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you, John.
Thanks for tuning in to the Franchise Hot Seat Podcast with Dr. John P. Hayes. Tune in next time for more conversation around all things franchising.